Hello and welcome. We're back. It's another week and there's still more golf to speak about. It's Tuesday. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being involved and joining the crew, the panel, and our special guest, which we'll introduce just now. Well, we're on to episode 8, which is hole 8. And this is going to be a very interesting discussion because looking at all the polls and the comments, it could be a one-sided affair. We thought that hole 7 was going to be, but it looks like hole 8 could be even so. But we're here to keep you entertained, we're here to debate, and we're here to enjoy each other's company while we're still in lockdown. And I'm going to bring in our esteemed panel of guests. Hello, everybody. How's it going?
How's it?
What's up?
Welcome. So,
What's up?
first of all, we're still waiting for the regulations of lockdown. It's not to say we're not playing golf in June, Fats, but something might happen. Apparently, by the end of the week, we should know something.
Yeah, I think Golf RSA has been doing well with keeping everybody updated. Yeah, they've put up a lot of posts. But what Cyril said last night or the night before, it doesn't look that way. But behind the scenes, anything can happen, and we can only hold thumbs to get back out there.
Well, let's hope so. Dylan, how have you been? You've been busy today.
Yes, adapting to the times. So I've got myself set up to be a mobile coach. So going to a few people's houses and a few offices as well.
Yeah.
Setting up my net and my hitting board there and doing lessons on the go now.
There you go.
So,
I see.
I'm the Uber of golf coaching.
Well done. So everybody watching, listen carefully. Dylan, you want to give lessons? So what must they do to get some Uber lessons?
Well, yeah, they can just get my number off the website and either drop me a call or a message. Just check with the stipulations if you live in a state or if your office is in a office park. Just check the stipulations. If you're in a freestanding house or anything like that and you're keen, then just hit me up and we'll discuss the details.
Fantastic. Well, boys, let's support Dylan there. Ryan, you're there. You look cold. You're sitting outside. Thank you for sitting outside.
It's the best signal, Maz, and we don't want one guy to be that guy that hangs and has a big S showing instead of his face.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you. Bit of a one-sided affair on what hole we're going to be picking. So looking forward to discussing some other points on this episode.
Fantastic. Okay, well, it's time for our special guest. Who's it going to be today? Let's have a bit of a drum roll. Wait for it. Boom! Frikkie Barnard. Hello, Frikkie. How you doing?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Welcome, Frikadel.
Hello.
Frikkie, how's life been?
Tough, eh? This lockdown has kept me very busy with the work. Haven't touched a golf club. I know that you guys think that I would lie, but I haven't. So looking forward to get back to the course, but I need to get some practicing. So I might phone Bill to get some lessons there.
And as you see, Frikkie Barnard, 2019 Thursday League champ, who's not playing golf. He's getting all rusty, so it's going to be a bit difficult. Yeah. Okay, so what I've just noticed, coming back to this shot, Frikkie is not Basil. That did say Frikkie before we started, but now he's Basil.
I can be Basil. I won't play like him, so it's fine.
Sorry, Frikkie. Okay, Frikkie Baz. Anyway, boys, Let's start first of all with Tiger versus Phil 2. Now, Frikkie, you weren't part of the conversation, but we know you would have been going for Tiger. Who else went for Tiger's team? Sorry, Dylan. You're out.
Sorry, Dell.
It was a good pick, Dil.
So,
Again.
a quick recap.
And just to put a point out there, I'm pretty sure Dil had something to say about Tom Brady's golf, and I think he was quite far off the point on that.
No, I don't think I said anything about Tom Brady's golf, but I should have done more research because wow, he was terrible.
Was he not just?
I was actually messaging a few mates when they were warming up in the rain, and I was like, from a coaching perspective, and he was doing this kind of weird thing with his right forearm, and the club was fanning all over the place, and I was like, this guy's going to hit this thing right all day long. And then every time he did that, my mate was messaging me going, oh yeah, you see, you're right. And anyway, he was absolutely awful, and he just hit it in the bush more than anything. But then he pulled out that holing out from 140 yards for the birdie.
Never mind his eagle putt.
Unbelievable.
So let's recap. So it went down to the final putt of the final hole with Woods and Manning winning 1 up over Mickelson and Brady. They raised $20 million. Only in the US of A can they raise $20 million with 4 golfers playing. So well done to them. And as you were mentioning the first 30 minutes, Brady was Woods, pond, cart paths, out of bounds, and then he kind of came right. But it was kind of like, what's happening? I could be on this team. Anyway, so let us get into today.
Can I comment quickly on Tiger there?
You may. Go for it. Stage is yours.
I was the one, obviously, on Saturday saying that I didn't think he'd be up for it. And, I mean, he mentally was unbelievable, wasn't he? He just, I've never really seen Tiger control his rhythm for 18 holes like he did. He played within himself. And on that golf course, in that rain, that's what you want to do. And you find a lot of maybe less experienced guys, I mean, even Phil to a certain extent, trying to pull off these hero shots and play at 100%. And it wasn't the conditions to do that, even though it was a bettable format for the first 9. Mm-hmm. And the way Tiger controlled his rhythm, he didn't try and overhit anything. He was hitting these little knockdown shots. He was hitting 4 irons, 180 meters. I mean, to say I was impressed would be an understatement. It was just pure class, absolute pure class.
He was phenomenal.
Really just showing people what it's all about to control your emotions, to understand the situation that you're in, and then to be the best player in that situation. You know, it was out of this world, man. I have to say as well, it was a lot more entertaining than the week before. I don't know if that's.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
I'm going to agree.
I was fully entertained, whereas last week I was a bit bored. Yeah.
So the 11th of June, PGA Tour starts, so we can get even more excited and have more things to talk about.
Woohoo!
Okay, let's move forward. Whole recap time. All right, I'm not doing it this time. Somebody else do it. Action.
I'll go. So, hole 1, we got Redding's par 4. Hole 2, long par 5 at Gandawa. Hole 3, we've got Kyalami, tricky par 3. Then we got Woodhill's stroke 1 as the 4th par 4. A little downhill par 4 at Danefern as number 5. Interesting hole at Copperleaf. Lots of ways to play it as number 6 par 4. Then we got Irene's iconic downhill par 3. And then, let's get on today's hole.
Well, before
I think you can tell us today's hole as well, right?
Today's hole will be one of the interesting looking par 5s of South Africa with the island green at Serengeti.
Okay, but before we get there, let's get Frikky's opinion on Irene, because he has a bit of a backstory. So let's have a look at Irene's hole first, and then we'll get what you're trying to show us there, Fricky. What do you think of this hole?
Yeah, it's lovely, especially if that hole is just left of that left bunker. So I'll show you guys just now. It's an awesome hole. Love this hole. Mm-hmm. I think I made the green in a few times that I've played there. Probably hit the green 4 times in my life, and one of them being this little baby that's here.
Yeah.
Well done. Wait, I got an applause for you, Fricky.
Yeah. So tricky one, but love that hole.
Well done.
It was like.
Okay. Yes. So at least you got a hole in one. Anyone else? Dylan, surely.
At that course, or
at all? Have you got a hole in one?
Yes, I have a couple. Yes.
6.
A couple.
What's a couple?
I have 6.
6.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of Dylan. Thank you for joining us. Boom. Right. Let's move on to today's picks. Par 3s are the popular holes on the 8th from many of the courses that we can select from today. There's 6 par 3s out of the 11 holes. There's 3 par 5s and 2 par 4s. The first 4 holes on this list, particularly, and it's not in any specific order, is par 3s. Peakenwood at 179 meters. I'm sure Ryan will choose once again another Peakenwood hole. Eagle Canyon with probably the easiest of their par 3s. Then Randpark's got a challenging little par 3 8th with a stream running down the right. So if you lose your ball there, you're most likely in the water. Blue Valley is actually, personally, I think I would choose this par 3 if it was a par 3 day. It's challenging. Serengeti, well, This is the par 5, and as we've mentioned, this will be the pick today unless the debate really goes around about and changes. Then we have 3 par 5s, Highlands Gate, a great par 5 again, highlight to play. Royal East has a par 5 up the hill, but reachable in 2. Glen Vista and Ibotsi also have par 3s, and I suspect we could choose... Ibotsi is also a great pick, and I think a few guys have gone for that par 3 if it was a par 3 day. Then Houghton short par 4 down the hill, and Jackal Creek has also a short par 4. Right, where are we? Who is starting with? Okay, I'll start. Serengeti. Done. Thanks. Yes.
Good debate.
All
We're
those in favour say aye.
Okay, well, this is where the comments are very important on our right-hand side. So let us know. Peter Prinsloo has already gone Serengeti par 5, the one. So as you can see, it looks like it might be that. But let's have a look at what Serengeti looks like. Okay, somebody, Ryan, take us through Serengeti.
So from any golfer's perspective, I think the tee shot is very important on this hole. You want to get it sort of as far down as you want from the box, so that you give yourself a short iron in, rather than having to fight a long iron into that island green. Not to say it's not a good play, because obviously you do have bunkers that you can play for, and look for a sort of up and down from the bunker for your birdie. And even just walk off with a par. I think most golfers would be happy with a par on this hole. But if you get the tee shot right, it definitely opens this hole up to having your eagle chance for your better golfers, and definitely a birdie chance for sort of your average sort of Duckhook golfer. And I think that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a hole that suits everyone. So for different ways of playing the hole itself, I think this hole does open itself up to everyone.
Corvus makes a good point, especially in middle. I think I've played a few Masters, and I don't think I've managed to hit the green once. I'm always dropping after I hit it in the water short. Frikkie, what do you think of the Serengeti there?
Yeah, look, I love that hole. Personally, I've got some good days and bad days on that hole. I would say my first Masters, when I played with Ruben, Nico, and Donnie. I had a terrible day. Did not make... hit my tee shot in the water. I had videos that I tried to get out of the water. It's a terrible one. And then a funny memory with Tim Pearman. I think the year afterwards. I think the one where Niels won, where me and Tim had perfect tee shots. We had like 160 in. Still couldn't hit the green. So it's one that you rather take the par and walk away with. At that stage, I think it's a stroke 10. So for mid to high handicappers, if you walk out with a par, I mean, it's 3 points. So take it.
Paul Ricketts said that it's a strange view from that angle, but let me throw a message out there to Serengeti people. You need flyovers of your course or any images, because there is nothing. You go to their website, there's no real images. You go to flyovers, there's nothing. So it's poor. We will come and help you and shoot you some flyovers so we can show you how nice this course is. And it's the same for Highlands Gate and Blue Valley. Up your game, boys. Okay, let's get technical with Dylan.
As I just want to add to that, if I may.
Yeah.
Obviously, let's not get too sidetracked. It's quite unique island green par 5. I think Leopard Creek's the only other one I can think of off the top of my head. But as Frikkie said there, hitting it in the water a couple of years ago, that tee shot is a lot trickier than you think. Sometimes I know obviously Ryan and myself sort of, and like Basil and that, sometimes we're playing with the club tees, just hit it over that bunker, it's not an issue. But for those who can't, or for those guys that are faders of the golf ball, that's a really tough and really intimidating tee shot. So you've got to actually get the tee shot away first. And it's actually slightly angled left to right. So it kind of forces you to try and hit away from the water, but then the further you aim away from the water, the more likely you are to hit it in the left bunker or that left grassy bank there with a long rough. So it's also a tough tee shot. It's not just as simple as hit the tee shot away and then let's make some decisions. It's definitely a tougher tee shot than you think. And then just to add what Ryan said, I like that. I think a lot of the time missed maybe by your average golfers. I wanted to mention this when we're talking about Glen Vista, Woodhill as well. Sometimes good players especially will pick bunkers as either landing areas or targets. And your mid to high handicappers can't always understand that. They think, bunker's a hazard, you need to stay away from it. But as Ryan says there, if you get a downwind or you don't quite catch your tee shot or you hit your tee shot in the first cut, then what a good player will do is actually try and hit it in one of those bunkers and back themselves to up and down it for a birdie out of one of those bunkers. So that's a really, really important aspect in course management and in picking your targets, to remember that sometimes bunkers are aim points and sometimes they're landing points. They're not always just stay away from the hazard. So I just wanted to touch on that, Ryan. Very good point there.
Okay,
Thanks, Phil.
Just to add to what Dylan said there as well, I think for us, most of the time that you do play that hole, it is metal. So it is more a mental thing than actual difficulty of the hole. For low to mid handicappers, yes, driver might be the play, and you can go for it in 2, and it's a scoring hole. But if you're not comfortable on the day, take an iron off the tee box, because you're not gonna go for it in 2 anyways, and you can easily get on there for 3. But yeah, if you go play a social round there, I think the whole play is totally different. You don't have that stress of metal and island green and water on the right of the tee box, bush on the left. If you just play it normally as a normal hole, it's a good scoring hole. Like we said, it's not a long par 5. So if you're not comfortable, take a 5-iron off the tee. You can go 5-iron, wedge, and it's not a difficult hole.
Yeah, great call.
Good. Okay, well, before we carry on, let's just catch up with our Facebook poll. Thank you for everybody who went onto it and voted. And yes, that looks pretty unanimous, doesn't it? Rand Park got 1. Ibotsi got 1. So what we decided to do is say that your hole 8 will be Serengeti, the end. But it's not over. We've got some time. We've only been on for 18 minutes. So let's spend 5 minutes talking about what. Let's go through some of the other holes and see what features they have. Ryan, you said if holes didn't matter, you like Pekinwood's par 3?
Maz, I wouldn't say I like it, as we decided, I had a bit of a late wake up this morning, and some of the other par 3s had already been picked by my fellow panel mates.
But you can have that one to talk about.
I can never go against Pekinwood. I like Pekinwood. And to be honest, that 8th hole is probably the epitome of Pekinwood. Is not much other than bunkers around this hole. So, they're not really in play. This big bunker, as we see on the flyover, it's not really in play. You've got, I think it's 180 meters from the club tee. It's a big green. You don't have to take on the pin if you don't want to, because there is a good 30 meters of fairway short of the green. But yeah, off the back tee, where sort of myself, Dill, Basil, guys that want to take on the course on its full length, you're looking at 220 meters to the middle of this green. So that then becomes a really long tee shot and actually quite a rewarding hole if you can get it on there and get off with a 2-putt for par. It's a little bit uphill. It looks downhill, but going up to the green from 40 meters short, it's uphill the whole way. So if you can land your ball somewhere short of the green or just on, it should stop and sit, and then you kind of have a chance of either a 1-putt if you're close enough, or putt and walk off with your putt. But not an easy hole.
Fats, you like Ibotsi very much.
Absolutely, love that golf course. So I've gone for Ibotsi. I actually started considering going for Ibotsi as my hole for today, and then go 3 par 5s on the back 9, because there's so many good par 5s on the courses left that you can pick on the back 9. But yeah, I love this hole as well. Great views with a dam in the background, elevated green. And I think a lot of people that fall off on the front of the green is what catches a lot of people, because you don't want to over club and get to the back of this, over the back of this green, because it's a struggle to get a par from back there.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people do under club there, pitch it either just on and it spins off, and then it's also a very difficult chip from up there. And also the 2 slopes on the green. I mean, I love the 2 tiers on the green. I love that. So I mean, front pin placement is very difficult to get close to. Back pin, you can just come up short very easily as well.
Great. Mr. Dylan, you chose Firethorn to speak about today.
Yeah, just a nice solid par 3. especially off the back tee. It's just a nice testing distance. If you slightly miss-hit your shot, or you come out of it a little bit and leak it a bit to the right, then you're going to get penalized. But you have the option of bailing out left, either before you pull the trigger, or even halfway down the downswing if you get a bit nervous. So yeah, and obviously Louis' famous hole-in-one in the final round of the SA Open. So yeah, I just like it as a nice solid test of a par 3. You hit a good shot. There's nothing special, but you hit a good shot, you get rewarded. And if you hit a weak shot, or you don't commit to your club you got, then it's going to filter into that water, that catchment area on the right. But I'm more picked it, to be honest, because I didn't like Ibotsi so much.
Why?
Because there's a dam.
Hey, Basil, what's wrong with that hole?
No, I mean, no, it is quite a cool hole. I just feel it's a little bit. I feel it's a little bit of a confused hole. It's like, what are they exactly trying to do? Is it a short par 3 where you're hitting a wedge and they're trying to make a really raised narrow green, or is it a longer sort of mid-iron par 3 where you're trying to have a bigger landing area and a bigger reward? What I do like about it, again, very rare, especially in South Africa, is there's nothing behind the green. It's hard to pick a target and to get a sense of the distance, especially if the flag's at the back. But I kind of struggle with how the green is laid out. Very steep bunkers, very steep in the front, I get that. But then you've got to be able to then reward the shot that does hit the green. And to me, they've tried to put a tier in, as Fat said, but instead of putting a tier in, all they did is take the middle of the green out of play completely, because it's not a tier, it's like it's 2.5 to 3 meters of slope where they can't actually put a flag. So you kind of got back middle, maybe back left, and then front middle, front right's your only flags. You can't really put a flag in the middle of that green because the green is so slopey. So if they had just tiered it off, one solid tier in the middle of that green, and then separated it into 2 greens, I understand that. But what they've done is in between, I just kind of don't understand it. And then the other little thing, it's just in terms of that length of par 3, in terms of the prevailing wind at Ibotsi, so it tends to play downhill right to left wind, which is very strange for a shortish par 3. And because it's so exposed, then it's very hard then to control your wedge. So you want a good player to go, okay, cool, this is the prevailing wind, these are the conditions, I'm going to hit this particular shot, and then I'm going to get rewarded for it. But because of that downhill right to left wind, good players, Ryan, Basil, whatever, they'll tell you, that downhill right to left off your right shoulder at the driver, you're licking your lips. But with a gap wedge in hand, you think, you just don't know how far it's going to go. So, it becomes a little bit of guesswork rather than risk reward.
Okay, Fricky's not frozen. He is sitting listening very tentatively to us. Fricky, give me a hole. Speak about Glen Vista's par 3. What do you think of Glen Vista's par 3?
Look, Glen Vista's par 3 is good, but I would rather wanted to choose Houghton if I am allowed to.
You can choose Houghton. Watch.
The reason for that is it's a shortish par 4 going downhill, probably about it's white fairways in the end. But to me at Houghton it's quite challenging. I've had a few friends playing there. Gerard a few years ago when he when he won Houghton at that stage. And when you get to that, and there's, let's say, one hole left, depending on from which side you started, it becomes daunting. I mean, you see all these trees. You shouldn't fade. I mean, a fader like me, for instance, like to find the right side of that fairway. But if your tee shot, for instance, is great, you still have that second approach, whether it is 140 odd meters downhill, and depending on the wind that specific day, I mean, you can find your second shot on the next tee box, which I have done previously. So,
as well as the range on the left.
Yeah, correct, 100%. So to me, I would choose that one specifically. Even the green, I think it slopes a lot left to right in the end. So to me, tricky green. If you land the green, difficult to putt. I'm the 3-putt king at the stage. So for me, very difficult to putt when you reach the green.
I thought you haven't touched the club.
When I get there, yeah.
Fats, how about you go through Glen Vista's par 3?
That's the elevated tee box. I think it's quite a narrow green, but it's wide. Couple of good pin placements. I think the water in front doesn't really come into play. It's more just, I don't know, to scare some golfers off, but I don't think it really comes into play. To me, it's a very average par 3. There's a lot of similar holes, distant holes in the country. To me, just nothing special to it.
Okay, great. Okay, we have 2 left. I'll go through one of them, but I need to go to this shot, bang, so that I can put it in. Okay, then there is Royal East. This is the par 5 that goes up the hill. It's kind of, you don't really see your landing area after the bunkers at 200 meters. But for the bigger hitters, it's fairly easy to reach that par 5 and a very good opportunity to make eagle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually tell you a funny story. So we had the SA Amateur there earlier this year, and I decided to play like an absolute chop on day 2. I hadn't hit one drive out the center of my club. I could not find fairways, and I got there, pulled my driver out. My mate was caddying for me, and he just kind of said, "Dude, it's not the right club." So I said, "There's nothing to lose. Let's have a go." Had a go. I actually ended just short of the bunker on the right. I had about 220 up. And I thought, well, I'm not pulling out the 3-wood because if I do get hold of it, it's probably long. And I actually just climbed into a 3-iron, probably the best strike of my life, and lipped out the eagle from about 2 meters behind the pin. It was a front pin. So about 2 meters behind the pin, lipped out the eagle. So as you say, definitely eagleable hole, if that's even a word. But yeah, it's actually a really cool hole because you can grab a couple shots there or a shot there for anyone. You just got to get the drive away. And you don't need to be cute with your second because there's actually a lot of space in front of the green. You just don't want to get caught in the little runoff on the left of the green because then it's a really difficult up and down the way the green slopes away from you.
Cool, boys.
I think Fricky's got a good story on that fairway with Aldani.
Yeah, Fricky, let's hear.
Almost killed him, I think. Was it that one?
And that was your third shot, still not to the bunker.
Yeah, no, it was that first major last year, wasn't it? I think.
Yes, which Maz won, yeah.
Yeah, so the Reinhardt one, yes. No, it was a terrible hole. So yeah, Donnie was on the left in front of me, and I said to him, just watch, and I actually topped him and hit his bag. So yeah, it's great memories that hole.
We did have a good laugh on that.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Even that first hole, that first tee shot.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Did you get past the ladies? I can't remember.
No.
Oh, you didn't. Okay, boys, we've been on for 28 minutes.
Now.
So we've done well. Last comment.
Butting in there. As you highlighted a comment there, old Kobus throwing out there that he narrowly lost out the beginning of this year. Perfect example of what the 8th can do. You know, Henry playing good golf, just sort of probably regulation. I wasn't playing with him, but a regulation birdie. And thanks for coming. There's the count back. Lost for Kobus.
Sure. It comes down to margins. It really does. Okay, boys. Well, thank you very much. It's been fun. We are doing a double header. Am I right? Tomorrow we're back.
No, we're doing Thursday, Maz.
We're doing Thursday. Thursday, Friday is the double header. Great. So we'll be back Thursday. And we'll go through hole 9. Friday will be hole 10. And then hole 10 means we're on the back 9, which is fantastic. One day we will have our Duckhook Golfers Golf Club. And then the 19th episode, we will stroke them. So we need your help in stroking everything because we're not going to use the strokes of the actual holes. We want to see what is the most difficult, and that will be a fun thing. And then we've had a couple of comments.
It's going to be a 4-hour episode, man.
It might. You need to do homework before the time. You need to do homework. We might get multiple guests to help us through this. And then what we were thinking is we might make a scorecard of these holes, and then as you play through your career through the year, you add your scores on these holes, and we'll see who has the best score on the Duckhook golf course, which is cool.
That is brilliant.
That's pretty good.
But it's all possible because everybody's joining us and having a good time and commenting and sharing your opinions. Okay, well, that's pretty much it, everybody. Shall we do the normal goodbye wave? And thank you, Fricky. All the best.
Thank you.
And we're out. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, man.
Good boys.
Thanks, Ricky Wright.
Cheers.